Welcome back to Salam Media. The time is 20 minutes past 9. You're still tuned in to News and Views with myself, Salala Makwidir, standing in for Inait Wadi. I'm sure he'll be coming back tomorrow morning on the airwaves on News and Views. But today you're stuck with me right until 10 a.m. Not 10 p.m. Yeah. Well, joining us right now is Thapelo Ahmad. He's the Gauteng leader for Jama-ah, and he's also Johannesburg's former mayor. Their party, Jama-ah, recently, made headlines here in the studio by urging the South African government to push for the removal of the United States veto power at the United Nations. This bold call comes in the wake of the U.S. using its veto power to vote against a ceasefire in Gaza 2 weeks ago, a move that has ignited conversations about the fairness and equity of the UN's decision-making process. To explore this complex issue and further explain to us why they decided to go on this quest, we're joined by Thapelo Ahmad, the Gauteng leader of Jama-ah, joining us via the telephone. Good morning, Thapelo, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. To the listeners or the viewers at home. Unfortunately, I couldn't connect online because of technical error. But alhamdulillah, thanks. I'm grateful for the opportunity. Assalamu alaikum once more.
Thank you so much. I think, Thapelo, you can just start by explaining Jama-ah's stance on the United States' use of its veto power, particularly in the context of the recent vote against the ceasefire in Gaza 2 weeks ago.
Look, in hindsight, let me start by saying, quoting a hadith rather. كلكم راء وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته. So, Prophet peace be upon him says, each one of you is a shepherd, and each one of you is responsible on what they lead or what they oversee as a shepherd. So, Ra'i, that would mean as a shepherd, first, you have the responsibility upon yourself. And then the hadith better goes and says, the Amir has the responsibility upon the people that they lead. The husband has the responsibility on the household or the wife. The wife has a responsibility on the household and the kids or the husband. It further goes and says the abd, the servant or the slave has a responsibility on what the master has instructed him on. So I would like to start there first to say I can see the list that the ruling party or the government can do to salvage what they have to use the plight and the struggle of the Palestinians. Well, maybe it comes from a good cause, but it tends to be diluted in the manner that which they do things. Now they are going to use this to mobilize, and ICJ is commendable act. It was a great move from the South African government, and it gave us hope from those who are sitting in the opposition. So the reason why the South African government, precisely the ruling party, to pronounce on the Article 6 of the United Nations Charter, it should remove the veto power of the United States. So, in essence, when they do that, they are strategically going to silence the United States because the United States is using the very same power. You know that it has voted 3 times already against the ceasefire at Gaza, which is the United States. And there are countries that are aligned, that are moving towards that direction of the Article 6 of the United Nations Charter or the UN Security Council, such as Russia, such as Algeria. But Algeria as an African country, it doesn't wield that much power. So we need countries like South Africa that have a bigger voice in that representation to say, let us sponsor this motion and support every country that will also bring this particular motion. Because the US, we know that it has perpetuated this genocide that is happening through the conflict of the Middle East. So this is our view at this stage to say, let us force the government, we perceiving the government as apologetic. And they are using this to say, as a trump card to the ICJ, to say, no, we have achieved this, we've been friends of Palestine, So we want the people to vote. We understand the desperation of saying we want the people to vote because it is detrimental not only to the government, but it is detrimental to everyone who's supporting the Palestinians, particularly in South Africa. Because if we lose power, our voice will be diluted and neutralized. So we are saying, let us go there unified and ensure that we salvage government from parties such as the Democratic Alliance and the others that have pronounced openly on their support of Israel.
You know, you speak on the other side. You know, people that might say already where South Africa stands with probably one of its biggest economical partners in the world, the United States of America, it's at a very critical point, considering our applications to the ICJ and you know, our stance in a lot of you know, international relations debates. Some might say we are further going to antagonize ourselves with the United States, considering, you know, economically, they are one of our biggest investors. What would you say to those people that are saying we are further antagonizing ourselves, and this might have economical ramifications that might be, you know, very, very unpalatable for the broader South African community?
The ICJ, the application of the filing of the application itself has its own ramifications at this stage, right? But however, where we come from is that we understand those ramifications. This is why we are forming part of other communities that can empower us to salvage those to protect ourselves from those ramifications, such as BRICS, for argument's sake. I can cite BRICS for argument's sake. But we also need to look at the scope of BRICS and the mandate of BRICS, and where there's a shortfall, we need to expand the mandate so that we have an alternative record or an alternative economy, because we can't highly depend on one country, precisely the United States of America, that have caused genocide across the world, and they survive. Their economy survives solely on the basis of them selling arms or either perpetuating the war crime in other regions. So we can't be complicit to the fact that now, because we are afraid of the Americans sanctioning us, we've demonstrated as our Jama-ah, and I can say with confidence, the motion that was tabled in 2017 or 2018 to rename the Sanctum Drive to Laila Khalid Drive as the recognition and our commitment to the Palestinians to say we understand your plight and we understand what the Americans are standing to benefit from that particular plight. So I can even ask the question to say the Democratic Alliance is advocating for two-state solution. The ANC is also advocating for two-state solution. And the Israelis and the Zionist Israel has already occupied 70% of the Palestinian land. Where is justice in that two-state solution?
No, that's a very, very patient point that you're making. But you know, how do you envision the removal of the United States veto power would impact the decision-making process and effectiveness of the United Nations Security Council? They would still have, you know, permanent chairmanship in the UN Security Council. Do you see it in any way changing the effectiveness and the decision-making process of the UN Security Council?
The United States of America wields power in that Security Council. And if you isolate the United States of America, you are technically stripping off those powers because they won't have a representation, they won't have a voice. So in hindsight, they're also using the UN United Nations Security Council to protect or to masquerade or to solicit protection for themselves, because all those parties that are falling to their trap, they will inherently protect them, and that's how they benefit. But if we isolate them from those particular countries or from that particular forum, we will inherently achieve at least a stronger voice independently from the Americans.
Mm, mm. Thapelo, we can't run away from the fact that South Africa is currently, going to be going to the polls in not such a distant future. There are those that might say, well, the ANC seems to be leading, when it comes to the efforts of activism for Palestine, and maybe Al Jama just feels left out, and Palestine right now, for a constituency voters, in South Africa that are seemingly so passionate about Palestine, this issue, raising this issue at this time, might look a bit too convenient and be, well, easy pickings.
The issue of Palestine, precisely when we are from the outside, one, we shouldn't play into the sections of the Palestinians. I think it is in all fairness to allow the Palestinians to voice out, to have a voice in how do we participate. That's the first thing. And the second thing, locally, I don't think it would be fair to say this should be a monologue and we should take the pros and the record from the ANC by listening to what they say on the basis that they want to manipulate the emotions of the voters to say in terms of Palestine. And maybe we've been supporting Palestine. So in essence, we can't achieve the bigger picture. But if we have a dialogue and everyone has an equal participation to advocate for the Palestinians, I can tell you now, for argument's sake, the ANC itself has isolated Hamas from being Palestinian. But there was never a time where they would say that the IDF is wrong.
Mm.
Like, so when they look at the IDF, they look at the IDF as Israeli. So similarly, Hamas, this is a resistance movement. It has to be looked as Palestinians who are defending themselves, who are defending their right to live, who are defending their right to dignity, who are defending their right to self-determination. So we cited that the ANC has repeatedly condemned Hamas, but we are not there as yet. We are saying people must be responsible. It's an issue of vote. The ANC, that doesn't remove. I know there has been a voter apathy that says the ANC won't vote for the ANC precisely because it's corrupt, and this dialogue doesn't remove the corruption of the ANC. Hence why I have commenced my representation, citing the hadith to say we are responsible for ourselves first. Because when we are going to the ballot paper, you are responsible for the act that you are going to put on that particular ballot paper.
Mm.
The ANC can come at the same end and say we want to use those. We need to look at critical issues as well. I'm not saying this is not critical. It is equally critical on the basis of the policy orientation. This is why we are also participating in this dialogue as a party. But we should say, is it good enough to use the plight of Palestinians to garner the vote? Or should we do it from a good heart of humanitarian?
Mm. Mm. All right. I think we're going to leave it there, Thapelo. Thank you so much. I'm sure we'll be catching up with you soon, as there's more that's going to be happening, especially with the country going to the polls very soon. But thank you so much for joining us and giving us your time.
Thank you so much, and thanks to the listeners at home.
There you have it there, Thapelo Ahmed, Gauteng leader of Al Jama-ah and also former mayor of Johannesburg, Al Jama-ah, calling on the government to invoke Article 6 of the UN, which would see the United States of America have that veto power withdrawn. And, well, they've been using it in ways that us who are activists for Palestine and supporters of Palestine see it as essentially an abuse. But we're going to leave it there. When we come back, there's a night vigil for a ceasefire on the 8th of March 2024 at Umhlanga, Durban. We'll be speaking to Nasia Sommer, who's an activist, about how you can get involved and how you can be part of this vigil. We're going to take a quick break and we'll catch up with her after this.